Welcome to the Final Score Network and the Final Score Podcast, presented by Team Anders Realtors. I'm Andy. He's former NCAA student athlete and co-host.
Brian, Cam, two-hand monster flush off the inbound. Brian, Cam, slam, jam.
Subscribe to us on Podbean, the Apple Podcast Store, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcasts. Follow us on Twitter at TheFinalScore35 and TikTok at AGSpartanFan35. Oh, and one more note before we get started.
I'd like to apologize to anyone I've not offended yet. Please be patient. I'll get to you shortly.
Welcome into episode 101, triple digits again. Thank you to all our listeners. Couldn't do without you guys. December 5th, 2022, and so it's coming up on our 2-year anniversary here. I think it was the 22nd, I want to say. I'll look it up after this, but man, almost 2 years and 101 episodes deep. Cool. Love it. Sports. We got a lot to talk about today. NFL, getting in the thick of it. Bowl games are out. Coaching carousel is going crazy. The transfer portal, 700 people entered before 11 a.m. Eastern time this morning. Golf, we got the match this week on Saturday. A lot of good stuff going on. NBA, we don't really care about that. Baseball free agency, some big stuff's happening. Cool. We don't really care about that either, but I guess that's the one mention. We got to get in there somehow. Hockey, Red Wings are doing good. That's our mention of that as well. College basketball, love it. Some early conference play right now. Talk about that. Around the world, do the usual podium tee up around the world. Finish with our sprint. We'll start with the podium. I'll go first, as I always do. Saw this earlier. If you follow sports, especially college football, you probably saw this. It's been kind of a story all year. And opt-outs have been coming in, for bowl games. And this one bothered me. Jackson Smith-Njigba of Ohio State, he got hurt in the first game, kind of pulled a hammy, in and out of the lineup, and then hasn't really appeared since. Haven't seen him on the sideline or anything. Says I'm pretty sure he's healthy. He says he's sitting out the college football playoff. All right, this is far enough with these opt-outs. I get it that he's dinged up. He's been dinged up. But, dude, you came back to Ohio State. You had to, but you wanted to win, prove something. I think this is a huge red flag, honestly. NFL teams are going to look at this and be like, this guy's a quitter. He doesn't care about his team. He only cares about himself. I think he honestly falls to a second-round pick because if he had a decent year this year, he probably would have been the first or second receiver off the board. Now I don't think that's true. I just can't stand it when guys, people put their bodies on the line and his teammates, and he doesn't support them, and he's quitting on his team. It's not a good look. Man, it rubs me the wrong way. I don't like it.
Yeah, I think
finish what you started.
Amateur sports, as we know it, is dead because of all NIL and all that stuff. Put your team before you. That's how it should be. That's not a guy that I want in my locker room. All right, mine is probably not. This isn't real new news. We've talked about this before in the podcast, but and it was, I think, Bellarmine, who's been playing a tough schedule this early college basketball season, partly really because they can't qualify for the NCAA tournament again. They qualified last year, I believe, but they were ineligible to make it, and they're in the same boat. The notion of a team that moves up from D3 to D2, from D2 to D1, and has to sit out for, I think it's 3 probationary years, maybe even as many as 5, is absolutely asinine. I think it's 3 years. So let's just say Hope had moved up to Division II when Ryan was a junior, and they were good enough, and they were beating their teams, having moved up, not down, up, and couldn't qualify for the NCAA tournament. I'm not saying Bellarmine's going to win the national tournament, but there is something to be said for the glory that is making the dance as a small school, as a single bid conference. And you're going to routinely punish these kids who had nothing to do with anything. And again, we're talking about moving up. in theory, moving up. And here's a really good example. What's that school? Is it St. Thomas, Ryan, in Minnesota? They moved from D3 to D1, and they had to sit out. D3 to D1, and they have to sit out 3 probationary years. Why? You're talking about a school that did not give scholarships for athletics, and I'm not saying that they're qualified, but let's just say had they won their conference tournament, they wouldn't have been able to make it. That is asinine. That is ridiculous. When will the NCAA? Let me answer that question because it's rhetorical. Never. Put the student athlete first. Truly, they do not. The student athlete experience is non-existent. Again, if you're even a small major Division I, let's say UMBC, the Golden Retrievers, biggest seed upset ever in the NCAA tournament. Let's say they moved to Division II. I get making them sit out because they would just probably rule the roost for 3 years. Or like a Hartford, who I think moved up the ranks from 3 to 2 to 1, and they're moving back down. Like, I get it. They played Division I and made the NCAA tournament. Okay, that's fine because you got to weed out scholarship players. But this notion of penalizing these kids who are fighting their ass off, mind you, Division II gets the equivalent of 5 full scholarships for their basketball team. Now, they could split that in a third and give a third of a scholarship to 15 guys. They can give 10 guys half. They can do whatever they want, but they have 5 full scholarships. So a Bellarmine who moved up from 2 to 1 has theoretically 5 full scholarship players on their team, and you're going to punish them? I'm with you, Coach Cal. I'm with other coaches that have played these teams. It's horse shit. Maybe we just need to get rid of the NCAA, reincorporate with some people who have a brain, and move forward. All right, moving the tee up. Ryan and I were debating this around. We couldn't. There's other things. Believe me, we're going to get to that actually get their own full spot, not as a podium or whatever. Here's one that we talked about probably about a year ago. This time with Coach Ken George, assistant coach at Hope College, longtime Forest Hill Central head coach, high school Hall of Famer, former official. The notion of the shot clock violation stoppage that takes away a rebound and a break opportunity. Mm-hmm. It happened to Michigan State last night, and no, I'm not going to say that that's why they lost because it was early in the game, but it just reminded me. It reminded me enough to write it down. That is one of the dumbest freaking rules in basketball. You're telling me that these highly paid refs can't tell the difference between snagging a shot off the rim just after the shot clock buzzer goes off and getting a fast break versus it's clanging around and teams are walking back. Like, it is so blatantly obvious that in most cases when it's very close to the end of the shot clock and people are going for the rebound, that both teams are still trying. Nobody's walking back. That gets an absolute tee-up, flag, whatever you want to call it, because it's just a dumb rule. It penalizes the team that played good defense and got the rebound. I don't, for the life of me, I don't understand some of the rules in the game of basketball, in college basketball in particular, that being one. Another one, let's also tee this up, reviews that take more than 60 seconds. If you can't change your original call in a minute, move on. It's ridiculous. It happened last night when it was close at the end of the Michigan State Northwestern game. They made the call, said it was Michigan State's ball. Clearly, right away, you could not really tell that you were going to be able to flip it either way, and yet they spent probably 3 or 4 minutes looking at it. You get 1 minute. If you can't decide in 1 minute, you don't change it, period. Speed up the play of the game. It's like college football with their review rules, too. Just ridiculousness. All right.
Around the world.
Around the world. Ryan, get us started?
Yep. We'll review Champ Week here. Busy. There were a few games that weren't championship games that were makeups. We'll just go through them, I guess, here. Pull up my sheet. I believe we both went 6-4 when it came to our records. North Texas versus UTSA, didn't watch it. I know UTSA covered 8.5, blew them out. Got North Texas coach fired. Saw that. That's pretty funny. The big one on Friday night, USC Utah. USC marches down the field quickly, scores a touchdown. Looked like they're going to be unstoppable. Caleb Williams slides on the second drive, pulls his hamstring. totally changed the game. They were smashing them. They could not defend them, and then take away his scrambling ability, his zone read ability. Utah they dared them to run the ball with their backup running back that they have in there, freshman. He was kind of dinged up, couldn't get anything going. They said our front seven's better than yours. And Williams he had some moments where he just gutted through, made some great throws, on the run. You could tell he was in a lot of pain, but they stuck it to him, and he made a key mistake late throwing that pick, and Utah ended up just taking advantage. Cam Rising, Gamer. Utah's just a well-coached team. Kyle Whittingham he's been there for a really long time. You know what you're going to get out of him. That guy is consistent.
They're an example of why it's good that college football is going to a 12-team playoff, because that's a team. The way they're playing right now would probably have to play a road game in the first round, but could make a run. That's a team that would slide into the top 12 that could make a run, and that's why it's going to be really good when that happens. And for USC too, right? Like, they needed to win that game. It was win and in, lose, you're out. Whereas in the 12-team situation, they lose. They get a month to get Caleb Williams back, and they're probably a contender as a 9 or a 10 seed to win the national championship. Like, those are exactly why it's about damn time college football is going from it used to be none to 2 to 4 to 12. Like, it is long overdue, because those teams would have a chance more so than Clemson or Alabama, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. But they're tough. Utah just ends up, hammering them. I think
they lost like 3 games by a total of 8 points this year. They lost a close game to Oregon, close game to Florida in the opener on the road.
Close.
Beat USC twice.
Good team. Playing Penn State in the Rose Bowl, that should be a good game, hopefully.
Yeah.
Back-to-back years for the Utes out there in Pasadena. Another huge game, Kansas State versus TCU. All credit to the Wildcats. This guy, Will Howard, he's really the second string. He's played for a little bit since Martinez has been hurt. Guy's a gamer, man. He played really well. Deuce Vaughn, really good. Their defense stepped up when they had to. Kleiman's a heck of a coach. Credit to Max Duggan. Kid's going to New York. He's a tough SOB, man. That last drive to have it tied up, he was dying of just exhaustion on the field. He could hardly move. He put it all on the line. He's getting hit. He had a heart surgery 2 years ago. Did you know that?
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. And he balled out, and they came up short. Still getting the playoff. After a great season by them. But that was a really nice, really good football game. Crazy teams get the ball inside the 1 yard line. They can't score because they
1 inch line
booth. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I've seen that too many times. Just out of everybody, you just run outside, do something. Like, I think USC did it in that game. They did on 4th and 2 from the goal line. They did a play action bootleg and got the guy in the flat wide open. Like, why do teams not do that more often?
I get it maybe the first time, and then get teams thinking you're going to do it a second time. And look, right, literally, although I don't think the spot was that great, it was literally like an inch or two. You should be able to get that anyway. But hey, credit to Kansas State, the fighting Kurt Warner there, showing out for his son. That was by far and away the best game of championship weekend. And TCU deservedly in the playoff because, and honestly would not have changed their seed. Even had they won, they would have still been the 3 seed. So at least the committee got that right. A great game. TCU balled out. They had a phenomenal season. They just came up an inch or so short. But I'm glad that their season is not over. They deserve to be in.
They do deserve it.
Kansas State ended up, 10th or so they would have made the 12th team. And, who knows? This is the thing, is a team like that would have played their way in and maybe had a shot. Again, can't wait until 2024 when we get to see that come to fruition.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. MAC championship, Toledo with a dub over Ohio, kind of upset. record-wise, I guess. Troy smoked Coastal. Coastal's coach, Jamie Chadwell's at Liberty now. He announced that right after the game, apparently.
That's not a...
I don't think
It's not a
that's
very
step
big
up.
step.
No.
Coastal's been good because their quarterback was great, and then their quarterback got hurt this year, and they've been kind of dog meat since then. But they're the Fighting DJs
Yeah.
of the Fighting Live Tours.
LSU Uga. Georgia's impressive. Wow.
Georgia is... I'm sorry, Michigan fans, don't get butt hurt, but you're not as good as Georgia. There is not... Doesn't mean that Georgia's going to win the championship, because we know how that goes. They're by far, in a way, and have been all year, the best team in college football. Bar none.
Yeah,
Period.
They've been really good.
And the thing is LSU fought. LSU gave up some good fight. They lost 38, 39 guys to the transfer portal. They were running on fumes. They have no depth. Like, great starting talent, no depth. Wait until they get some depth. Oh, boy. LSU is going to be in contention
that's
year
gonna be
after
a good
year.
team.
It's going to be good.
Hardest
Brian
division-
Kelly, if you like him or not, he's a
hardest
great
division
coach.
in football got harder with that. SEC West.
Yeah.
Pretty phenomenal, but Georgia's just...
Not with Hugh Freeze from
juggernaut.
Liberty to Auburn, though. That's kind of a head scratcher in my opinion, but whatever.
He likes strippers, so that's good. UCF, Tulane wins, gets themselves into a New Year's Six. Good for them. They were 2-10 last year, so that's impressive. Fresno beat Boise in the Mountain West. Didn't really watch that at all. Honestly, didn't watch the UNC Clemson game. Just know they smoked them. Klubnik came in, played really well. Kind of a Trevor Lawrence. I can't remember the guy. Kelly was the quarterback before that. Kind of that situation. Forces Ui Ungalale out. And Klubnik's probably going to be the guy moving forward the next 3 years. Good for them. Playing in another New Year's Six Bowl. Pretty impressive. Another double-digit win season for Dabo.
I've just scooped me Eric All transferring from Michigan with a rather interesting tweet.
Yeah, bad. He's a little bad blood.
Yeah, I said to him, maybe it's
We should
because
take him.
maybe his
He's
mad
good.
teammates can get felonies and still play.
He's a good
I
player.
know he's a really good tight end.
He's really good.
Shredded us last year.
Except for he had a really bad...
he had a bad, like a back
surgery.
injury or something, right?
Surgery about 3
Interesting
weeks
story
ago.
in that guy, too. If you want to look it up on Big Ten Network, it was a kind of a cool story. Like, I think he was saved in a house fire or something like that, and just a really, really interesting story. Even, take the team away from it. Interesting human interest story for sure.
Definitely. Then Big Ten Championship, U of M, Purdue. Purdue, I think, did about as well as you
Well,
thought
why are they
would.
look, you're down 12. Like, here's just one example. You're down 12 early in the fourth quarter. You're on, like, the 7. You're kicking a field goal. It's not like you're making it a one-possession game. Brom, get some testicles and try to win the game. Like, you don't settle for field goals thinking you're going to keep getting stops. That's not how it works when you're a big underdog. Yes, you threw a red zone pick already down by like the 7-yard line once. I think they might have turned it over another time when they were driving too. Maybe that was towards the end of the game. But like, wow, what on earth are you doing settling for field goals when you're down in a game that your only shot to win is touchdowns? That's flabbergasting to me. Like, unbelievable.
Yeah, that was weird. They did okay. O'Connell played well. The thing that makes me mad about this game, O'Connell, his brother passed away a couple weeks ago, and he's struggling. I think it was at the end of the game. I did not catch the end, but I saw the video and I saw people tweeting about it. Apparently, Michigan hit him pretty hard after a throw that was incomplete. And his helmet was kind of like half up, like up his face, and Michigan guys were just standing over him, pointing at him, doing all this stuff. It's like, guys,
they're ass
come
bags. Look, this is from my buddy Dave. We're getting live updates on it. So Nat, his senior daughter at Michigan State, told my buddy Dave, her dad, that Eric All's tweet seemed to implicate U of M's coaches, something to the effect that things aren't always what they seem. Gee, that's a real shock. Mm-hmm. We'll get into that more in our third spot around some other topics.
Did see that as well. That's interesting stuff there.
Good. Blow the lid off that shit. That's what I say. Bunch of cheaters.
Yeah.
Leaders in best my left nut.
Yeah, just not something you like. But yeah, we got the playoff. We'll talk about that probably later. we'll talk bowls. We'll go through the bowls. I haven't even looked at all of them yet.
We got time. We can do that next week.
Yeah, well, definitely.
I'll tell you, there's too damn many of them. There are 39 bowl. Take out the CFP. There are 39 bowl games, so that means 78 teams are eligible. Yes, one 5-7 team, Rice, made a bowl. They clearly have the best academic, which doesn't surprise me because it's a good academic school. 18 6-6 teams. So you want to do the math? I already did it for you. 24.4% rounded. 24.4% of the teams in the bowl game, so almost a quarter, are 6-6 or worse. Let me just go through the bowl schedule real quick. I don't know, this doesn't show the bowl games, but there is Miami UAB. That's a 6-6 game. You have, certainly a lot of 7-5 games. I don't have as much problem with that. You have 5-7 Rice against 6-6 Southern Miss. You have a 6-6 Florida team playing a 9-3 Oregon State team. That's probably going to end in a losing record. 6-6 UConn. Now, good for them. Comeback story, right? They're probably one of the worst college football programs, and they've made a bowl. They're playing 8-4 Marshall. You have 6-6 Baylor playing in a bowl game against a 9-3 team. 6-6 Louisiana playing a 7-5 team. You have 6-6 Missouri playing 7-5 Wake Forest. By the way, Missouri skated Kansas and didn't want to play them like a bunch of wusses. The old border rivalry. You have another 7-5 game. You have 6-6 New Mexico State against 6-6 Bowling Green. Like, people my age, you remember the MAC got one team a year, and it was at the California Raisin Bowl. I'm not saying the MAC should only get one team, but no way in hell the MAC should get it 6 or 7 teams in bowl games. I'm sorry. A 6-6 MAC team does not deserve to go to a bowl game. Then you got 6-6 Georgia Southern, whose biggest win is over Nebraska, against 6-6 another MAC team, Buffalo. 6-6 Memphis against 6-6 Utah State. 6-6 Wisconsin against 7-5 Oklahoma State. 6-6 Kansas against 6-6 Arkansas. Let's see. We got 6-6 Oklahoma playing a 9-3 Florida State game. What's the benefit to Florida State? They're playing a scrub team, except for they can get a 10th win. Let's see. I don't think there's any more that I see. Any more 6-6ers? Nope. So I didn't keep track of that. But let's say there are 5 6-6 matchups head to head. That means 5 more teams, in addition to Rice, are going to end up with losing records and got to go bowling this year. Like, that could have been a podium, that could be a tee up, that could be a flag. Get rid of 6-6 teams being eligible for bowls by getting rid of the amount of bowls. ESPN, stop just churning out TV stuff so you can get TV money. There are plenty of other things to watch during the holidays. We can watch The Elf for the 500th time. We could watch Office Christmas Party, which is a rockin' kick-ass movie. Bad Moms Christmas. We got a lot of things we can watch except for bad college football with 6-6 teams. I don't love college football that much to watch a game with Rice and some other 6-6 team. Get rid of the damn 6-6 teams.
Yeah, there are a lot of them. Too many. That's about one. You got anything else or no?
College football wise, no. I mean, like you said, transfer portal's hitting big.
Ridiculous.
That's the other thing is with all these bowl games and all these guys hitting the transfer portal, how many teams are even going to be able to really field like good second strings? We're talking like the nerdy walk-ons that were the equipment managers at the small schools that are going to get to play. I mean, come on, ridiculous, just stupidity.
Yeah, not great. Spot 2. We said last week we were going to do it. We're going to do it. Big Ten. The predictions that we did preseason, we're going to review those, see how bad we did, and see what we're good on. Not much. Let's do it. Let's start with the West.
Okay, you picked the West.
Order. Yeah, Illinois. Very wrong. I said 5-7. Obviously, they went 8-4. They're going to what are they in the
ReliaQuest
Bowl,
aka the Tampa, aka the Outback. I had them also 5-7.
Good for them.
They ended up in 6th place and they finished tied for second.
Who are they playing in that?
Hold on a second. I will tell you who the Big Ten is in their bowl games. Let me pull up my handy app here.
But yeah, I mean, definitely.
Illinois plays Mississippi State.
Okay, nice. Decent matchup. Good defense versus good offense.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, was wrong on these guys. That's why I said that Bielema was my coach of the year, and they were my surprise team. The Hawkeyes of Iowa. I said 9-3. They went 7-5. I said Duke's Mayo. They're going to the Music City Bowl to play Kentucky. I think the over/under is like 5.
Yeah, I had them at 9-4 because I had them losing in the
I
championship.
had them finishing tied for second in the
yeah.
Big Ten. They finished tied for second.
I had them win in the Big Ten West. They tied for second.
So-
I had them in the Citrus. They went to the Music City.
Yeah, not bad. The Minnesota Golden Gophers. I said 5-4 in conference, 8-4 regular or total, and that's what they did. But they did finish tied for second. I said 4th. I said Music City, and I believe they're going to the Pinstripe Bowl. Is that correct?
They went to the Pinstripe Bowl to play Syracuse, and actually, that is probably the only team that I
That's
didn't
a
pick
decent-
all. I don't think I didn't pick all
It's a
their
decent
games right,
matchup.
but I picked their record right: 5-4, 8-4. I picked them tied for second. I said Duke's Mayo, but they're in the Pinstripe. So yeah, that's not bad. I mean, Syracuse was really good, and then they fell way off.
That's a decent game. I'd watch that.
Yeah,
I think. Nebraska.
train wreck.
I said 5-7, and they ended 4-8.
I overshot them big time. I had them tied for second going to the Music City Bowl, and they
The big mess up for them was losing to Georgia Southern. I mean, that kind of
and
ruined that.
Northwestern, who didn't win any other game
Oh Lord,
the
yeah,
entire year.
just Northwestern.
We had them bad. I had them 3-9.
I had them 4-8. Went going undefeated the first 4, then losing the last 8. I mean, they were awful.
Yeah, they were bad.
But here's the thing: they fired people. Michigan State's yet to fire anybody.
Right, exactly.
Who thought that Northwestern was a bigger boy program than Michigan State? Not I.
Apparently in basketball too, but we'll get to that.
Purdue, I said 9-3. They finished 8-4. I said they go second in the Big Ten West, and they finished first.
I said 6-3.
I did.
Or no, I said 5-4, 8-4, and they went 6-3, 8-4. I said tied for second,
Yep,
guaranteed rate, and they're playing.
I
in the
said Reliable,
Citrus,
and they're playing the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl.
playing LSU, which
I don't think that's an end well for them.
I don't know. LSU's not very deep, so maybe who knows?
The Wisconsin Badgers, I had them winning the West.
Yeah, I had them 8-4. They went
10-2,
6-6.
6-6. Had them go to the Rose Bowl, and they're going to the Guaranteed Rate Bowl to play Oklahoma State, I believe, out in Phoenix.
Phoenix, the old BW3 Bowl,
Yep,
among other things.
yep. So that's the West.
Indiana was dog meat like we thought. I had them 3-9.
I had them
They went
3-9.
4-8.
4-8, yeah.
Six,
The Michigan
no bowl.
State game is the one.
Maryland, I had them 6-6, finishing fifth. They
did
went
I.
7-5 for it. Instead of the quick lane, they made the Duke's Mayo. And actually, I don't think the Big Ten filled the quick lane bowl.
No, it's New Mexico State versus
All right.
Bowling Green.
Shouldn't that be Toledo? I thought that was the. I thought the
I
MAC
don't
champion.
know. I don't
went to
know
the
how
quick
it
lane
works.
bowl.
I really don't.
Michigan had them tied for third.
I had
Obviously,
9-3.
they won. Had them 9-3. They went 12-0. New Year's 6 CFP, same difference. They're going to lose either way, so it doesn't really matter. Michigan State, we both way overshot.
I said 11-1.
5
Boy,
game
was I
difference.
wrong.
Said 10-2. They went 5-7.
I'm an idiot.
No
idiot.
bowl game. Ohio State, I think we probably both had them 13.
I had a 12-0, yeah.
12, 13 and 0
11-1.
with the Big Ten championship. They
CFP.
went 11-1 and got in the CFP, so that's not that far off.
Very often Penn State as well. I said 8-4, 10-2. I said Pinstripe to go to the Rose. I think you did too.
I had them tied for third, going 10-2. I had them going 8-4. They went 10-2. One of my better teams in terms of picking, games from not like an Ohio State was pretty obvious. It's easy when you expect a team to win; they're the best team. But like Penn State, I picked all but 2 of their games right
So did
from
I.
the beginning of the season. So the difference was I had them losing to Purdue and Auburn, and they beat both of those teams, and they're going to the Rose Bowl. So good for them.
Good for the Knits.
Rutgers, I had them 4-8. They went 4-8.
So did I.
They finished last in the Big Ten.
Stinker.
So all in all, not. I mean, it's hard to kind of pick the bowls a little bit, but not super far off. The West was actually pretty easy because you just had to pick everybody to go 5-4, basically, which is what we said at the beginning of the year. Michigan obviously better than we thought they'd be. Michigan State way worse. Teams like Indiana, Maryland, Rutgers, right around the same. Penn State maybe a little bit better. Illinois certainly better. Purdue a little bit better. Wisconsin worse. So all in all, about a wash. I don't know. Matchup wise, we'll talk more about the Bulls, but just as a heads up, it's Wisconsin, Oklahoma State. They could win that. Minnesota, Syracuse. Minnesota is favored by 7. Maryland, NC State. That's probably a favorable old ACC matchup. I mean, NC State's on their 4th-string quarterback, but you never know. Iowa, Kentucky, yawn. Over-under is 31 in that game. TCU, Michigan. Michigan's favored by a touchdown right now, but that is a game that TCU can win. Ohio State, Georgia. Georgia's favored by 6.5. Ohio State plays like Ohio State. They could win that. Mississippi, Illinois, decent matchup. Could be a decent game. LSU, Purdue, probably surprise you a little bit. And then Penn State, Utah should be a good game. I don't know, 9 bowl games for the Big Ten. They might go 5-4, but we'll talk more about the bowl games later.
Yeah.
All right, let's move to spot number 3. And this had to get its own.
Go off, champ.
This had to get its own thing. It could have easily been my podium. It's, this news came out, I think, Tuesday last week, so a day after we did the podcast. And look, I'm going to say this. Like, I've heard Mike Valenti out of Detroit, who's great on the radio, used to produce a show that I did way back in the day, once a week, live in studio. He's got his own show, does a really nice job, and he put all this exactly the right way. And then I've heard other podcasts in the interim. First, actually, I heard those podcasts, and they clearly took his take and said basically what he said. But here's the thing. I'm going to agree with this. Good people do bad things. I do not have a personal vendetta against Mozzie Smith. Did he F up? Yes, of course he did. He was driving without a driver's license, which is not the biggest deal, but still, a car could constitute a weapon. If you don't know how to drive and you kill somebody, that's at least vehicular manslaughter, even if you're sober. Like if you kill somebody negligently and negligent without a driver's license. And bigger mistake, he's driving around with a gun in the car on his person in some way, shape, or form that, quote, he was in the process of getting a permit on. Miraculously, 7 weeks after the fact, we find that out. It doesn't matter. He's carrying a concealed weapon illegally, which is a felony charge. Happened on October 7th. Mm-hmm. Didn't get charged until after the Ohio State game. Played 7 games. All Big Ten player. Probably a first-round NFL draft choice. You're telling me that Jim Harbaugh, who knew, admitted he knew, Ward Manuel admitted they knew, but Mozzie's a good guy, so we're going to let it run its course. Bullshit. Kiss my ass, Jim Ward. You're the same guys that as soon as that tunnel incident happened, without anything but a grainy cell phone video, state troopers standing there doing nothing, you tried to blacklist Tucker as having Michigan State as having a horrible culture of criminals and thugs, and you have still to this day the prosecuting attorney, the same attorney that didn't miraculously file those charges until 7 weeks later, asking for no contact for the Michigan State misdemeanor guys with Michigan players, can't go to Ann Arbor, asked for them to be drug and alcohol tested, which the judge threw out for a misdemeanor, and yet you had a guy with a felony charge who openly told you what he did, and you let him play because he's, quote, a good guy. Leaders and best suck my you-know-what, Michigan. I am so tired of your we're better than everybody, we're above the law. Suck it. Stop, spare me the preaching. If you just want to sweep it under the rug and not say anything, and the thing is if you had just been normal and decent about what happened in the tunnel, which, by the way, was your fault to begin with, because if you keep those AWODs out of the tunnel, nothing happens. You keep them with their mouth shut, nothing happens. So you're going to tell me it's all on Michigan State? No. There's always culpability both ways. We've been over that a million times. You are equally to blame for the fact that there was even a situation to be had. Now, shame on the Michigan State players for what they did, but Michigan State swiftly and justly suspended guys and said, until we figure this out, you're suspended. And the Big Ten fined Michigan State $100,000. And the Big Ten said that, okay, those fines are enough, but we're going to add 8 games on for another guy. The Big Ten has said nothing about Mozzie Smith because you and Ward, Jim, said, oh, but he's a good guy. He just made a mistake. Yeah, you're damn right. People make mistakes. And you know what? If that was me, I would be in jail. I would have been in jail. If it was Ryan, he would have been in jail. I don't care if Ryan's a good kid. I don't care if it's his first offense or if he's had a misdemeanor before and it's his first major offense. It's a felony. And the fact that you double standard it by blackballing and blacklisting and mudslinging at Michigan State and Mel Tucker and gathering your pitchforks and your torches and clutching your pearls about what a travesty, and Michigan State's out of control and they can't control it, but you had a felony player, oh, by the way, one of your best players, play the rest of the season and in the championship game even after it came out. Unbelievable to me. Absolutely unbelievable. If you ever spew your leaders and best rhetoric at me again, I will climb through the TV and I will beat you with a microphone. I already want to punch J.J. McCarthy in his frat boy, F-boy face every time I see it. If I even hear Harbaugh utter a word. I did not watch the Big Ten Championship game except for a few highlights and only on mute because I cannot take anything pro-Michigan anymore. You are the biggest frauds in college football. You're the biggest frauds in sports. It's why you're the most hated team, and you love it. You live it. You wear it proudly. You are jackasses, and I am so freaking tired of it. And I hope Aircall's got some beef on you and lets it cut loose, and it drags you through the mud, and guys lose jobs, and Harbaugh gets fired, and guys get kicked out of school. I hope it happens. Mozzie, you screwed up. I hope you don't screw up again. I don't personally have a vendetta against you. But damn it, Michigan, the minute he admitted to it, that doesn't make it right that he admitted to it. It was a felony. We're not talking about jaywalking. We're talking about carrying a gun. And yet your same prosecutors treating Michigan State players, one who swung a helmet, yes, assault with a, quote, deadly weapon, that's more serious and egregious than a guy with a gun. And Big Ten and Kevin Warren, where in the hell are you in this? Where's the $100,000 fine for Michigan for keeping it quiet, for playing one of their best players while on a felony charge? And spare me, it takes all this time to play it out. No, it doesn't. You're in Washtenaw County. The guy knew who he was. He let it go. What if it had been the cop that pulled over Amani Bates for the exact same thing? Amani Bates spent 24 to 48 hours in jail right away. Amani Bates didn't see the court, the practice court, until he was cleared of his charges or was dropped down to a misdemeanor. That all happened in about the same window, a little bit earlier than that, but in about a 3-week time frame. And this took 7 weeks. Kiss my hairy, white, 49-year-old ass, Michigan.
Yeah, I completely agree.
This is in my book. This is worse than the way that you acted about Michigan State and the tunnel thing, only because the way you acted about that makes it even worse. That was like we went in there with a machine gun and started offing people, and yet you literally had a guy with a gun charged with a felony. Well, knew that it happened, hadn't been charged. Miraculously, it took 7 weeks, but it only took the Michigan State case 4 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever it was. And it was all, so Michigan State's best players had to sit out the rest of the season. Jacoby Windmon would have been all Big Ten if he had gotten to play. If he hadn't been suspended those last 4 games, he would have been all Big Ten. First team, guaranteed. Lock, stock, and barrel. Probably affected his draft stock. But Michigan State did the right thing. So you're going to preach to me about doing the right thing? You're liars. Liars. Liars and worst, not leaders and best.
Agreed.
All right. A quick word from our presenting sponsor. Team Anders Realty will help you find the home that best fits your needs and makes the process simple and fun along the way. The Anders have served thousands of clients over 30 plus years in the Grand Rapids, Michigan area and are here to serve you today. Learn more at teamanders.com. The Anders, who through their annual great Christmas tree and wreath party, they give all their past clients a $25 gift certificate, basically, to go to a local tree farm, get a wreath, go towards a tree. I'm sure real trees don't cost $25 anymore, but still, the fact that they do that, that's the kind of people you are. You're getting a lifelong friendship and relationship, not just a business deal. All right, Ryan, spot number 4.
Hoops.
Hoops. All right, let me just throw a couple things out because we may as well just get to the elephant in the room. Last night was the first time Northwestern has beaten Michigan State back-to-back at home since 1962.
Cool.
That's 60
You like
years.
those. We like that.
That's all that needs to be said. And,
Yeah.
and by the way, it's not like Hall is an All-American sitting on the bench. There is something seriously wrong, which we'll get into in a minute. And the other fun fact out of that, it was the first conference opening win over a top 25 team in program history for Northwestern. Double history for Michigan State, and not in a good way. We're not talking about Kevin Coble, white boy accountant looking. I wouldn't take him in my open gym team torching us with his one-legged Ray, whatever his name was, from Hoosiers jump shots back in the day. We're not talking about a once in a life. We're talking about Northwestern has beaten Michigan State 2 of the last 3, and aside from
Three of the last 4?
one of the best comebacks ever in college basketball history, when Michigan State was down 25 to them and came back and beat them.
Yeah.
Throw that in there.
They have our number.
They have our number, and it is sickening and it's ridiculous. And I'm sorry, we were lauding Coach Izzo a few weeks ago for the job that he had done, the way Michigan State started the season. Probably should have knocked off Gonzaga, did knock off Kentucky, beat Villanova, although they tried to kind of give it away. You know, faced injuries, went 2-1 in Portland, great. As great as they were early, and as good as Izzo looked as a coach, he's looking like he's dog meat again. And I get it. You can't practice enough. Guys are hurt. But the guys that are hurt and not having depth, except for 3 true freshmen and a walk-on, who, granted, played Division I at Western Michigan, but still was out last year with a blown-out knee and is a walk-on. So 4 of your depth guys that have to play are freshmen or a walk-on. That's your fault, Izzo. That's your fault for not dipping into that portal and not just saying to your guys, look, Marty, look, Joey, look, Malik, look, Pierre, I love you guys. You're my guys, but I need depth just in case. That is 1,000% on you, Izzo. It's on you. You could have bolstered your lineup. Didn't mean you had to start these guys over Marty or whatever.
Doesn't mean you have to play them.
You just needed guys. You need guys for practice. Who are you going to practice against? How are you going to get better practicing against your son?
Like the
He's
football
5'2".
team.
I have bigger chunks of corn in my crap than Steven Izzo. And then Smitty's son is like 5'3". Barry Sanders' son looks like he ate a 3,000-pound bag of marshmallows. Like, he's 5'7", maybe. Like, that's your scout team. How are you going to get better? How is Joey, who was god-awful and shocker, the 2 games Michigan State lost last week, going to get any better when he's guarded by Steven Izzo? Like, that's on you, Izzo. That is on you. You didn't have to go get creme de la creme top guys. But you're telling me that you couldn't have gone after a guy like a Nance in the portal, or a guy like Young in the portal, or somebody in the portal to bolster your depth? Because, shock, wear and tear of a 30 to 40 game season is going to wear on you. And Michigan State is stress fracture frickin' you, so you always can count on at least one of those. You knew Pierre can't play a lick of defense. At least he plays some offense, but he can't play defense. So then you're already one arm behind your back there defensively. You've got, Malik Hall, which, okay, I get it. You didn't plan for injuries, but injuries happen. You didn't plan for Joshua Langford to get hurt and miss basically the prime of his career either. Like, that is 100% on you. And that's, yes, last night specifically, you got out-coached and your team got out-toughed. And that is 100% your fault. Your fault. Boo Booey, he's been at Northwestern for 32 years. He's on the Brian Cardinal, Robbie Hummel plan. Torched you again. Torched your guards, who I was lulled into this false sense of security that, oh my gosh, they're playing perimeter defense. They're playing defense. They're playing aggressive. They're hustling like in the Gonzaga and the Kentucky and whatever game. Wrong. Wow. Bad. And it started bad last week with Notre Dame. Now, I'll excuse that to an extent.
That one's excusable.
Because you went from 3 games in 4 days in Portland, and it's debatable whether you flew from Portland to Notre Dame and whatever, and Tyson had a death in the family, and look, culmination of things, time zones, you're light on guys, you're tired, your legs, you haven't practiced. I'll cut you an egg game. Egg games happen. It's like it's like playing in tennis. You just don't have it, and you just lose 6-love, and you're like, whatever, I lost, so on to the next tournament. Like, I get it, that happens, but to then go home for like only your second home game, right?
Yeah.
In front of the I-zone and lay an absolute clunker of an egg, like we're talking like a Titanic turd in the toilet, like that clogs it up. That's what you did. And it was bad. And here's the thing: you play at Penn State Wednesday, where you suck anyway, in front of 5,000 people in the cavernous Bryce Jordan Arena, and you're going to be 0-2 in the Big Ten against arguably the two teams you need to beat to be able to qualify for the tournament.
To even have a chance. I mean, this is ridiculous. You're already behind the 8 ball. It's going to be 5-5. I mean, you should win the last 3, get to 8-5 going into conference play. But there are no bye games in the Big Ten this year. The Big Ten, from top to bottom.
Nebraska smoked Creighton yesterday at Creighton, number 17.
It could be easy. No. There's not one night.
There's not an easy win.
There's not one night where you say, you know what, we can win. They probably looked at Northwestern and said, they stink. We'll beat them. Yeah. Just because we show up.
And here's the thing: like, the one good coaching thing you did is to get AJ's attention. You brought him off the bench.
And he played well.
He played well, except for he was like 3 for 9 around the basket, which drives me absolutely crazy. That he's shooting most of his feet 5 feet in because he doesn't have a jump shot, and he misses more than half of them.
Too.
He does, and he's shooting a little bit better.
He should not be shooting.
Tyson Walker got a stupid foul, and he was frustrated, and he picked up another stupid foul, took himself out of the game. Joey Hauser has been persona non grata. My old favorite Joe is back, baby. The last 2 games, he's been crap. For as good as he was for the beginning stretches, he's been absolute white-hot dog pile for the last couple of games. And if he doesn't score, who's going to score? Because Jaden Akins makes me hold my breath every time he makes a cut to the basket. Last night, it looked like he tweaked his foot. Apparently he didn't. He just is out of shape, which makes sense. He's barely practiced in the last 9 weeks. He played more minutes than we needed because we needed something, and he made a 3 and then missed his next 5 or 6 shots. Like, where's your offense going to come from? If it doesn't come from Joey along with Tyson and AJ, it ain't coming from anywhere. Now, Maddie, I will say, I've been riding him a little bit hard, like with my group texts with my buddies and stuff.
He's doing okay.
He's doing a serviceable job for what he's doing, better than we ever expected, right? Like, the biggest thing that he can't do is get out of his own way when it comes to stupid fouls. Like, if he could stay clean, Michigan State, he's the only guy that can, 20% of the time guard the high pick and roll. Because Kohler may as well have his feet in cement. He's got a 1-inch vertical. He's got hands that are made of bricks at this point. Now, I see him being a good player for Michigan State when he's a sophomore and a junior, or like halfway through his sophomore year. But he's thrust into having to play right now. And so is Cooper. And Cooper was going to redshirt. And Cooper was a walk-on. They gave him a scholarship because they have got like 5 hanging out there. Like,
Julius Marble would look nice right now, wouldn't he?
We were fooled by the first several games to think, oh my gosh, this team's got a fighting chance. This team is going to be lucky to be above 500. They will be, I would say it's a 50-50 shot at best that they go to March Madness. We'll look back. It's December 5th now.
Less than that.
Come March 5th, so in 3 months we'll talk. I will be pleasantly surprised if Michigan State is good enough to make the tournament.
That's sad. This is where, as I said last night.
It's because Izzo was too stubborn to go just fill a couple of voids on his roster.
All he needed was a veteran big that could
and then maybe
rebound.
one other guy that could score a little bit, like a wing.
And maybe a wing that could make a couple.
Because look, Holloman's going to be a nice player, but he's not an offensive threat right now. So at times you have Holloman, not a threat to shoot. You have Whitens, who I thought it was Wittens, but it's Whitens apparently, who the one time he got the ball wide open for a 3 traveled because he wet himself because he didn't know what to do. Like, dude, you played 4 years at Western Michigan. Take the freaking shot. But so you had Holloman, no offense. Whitens, no offense. Cooper, no offense unless you give him the ball right at the rim with 2 other scorers. You're playing 2-on-5. And then, oh, by the way, Whitens, okay, he played some pretty good defense, and Holloman plays some decent defense, but like you're talking freshmen and walk-ons filling the void in a league that's got a team like Purdue with Zach Edey, who is dominating the league, a team like Iowa who's got the Murray brother who looks exactly the same and just as good as his older brother. You've got Ohio State who's decent. Michigan is at least equally as dog garbage. Wisconsin is going to be a grinder
They're
of a
good.
team that can
Maryland's
win games.
very good.
Nebraska's
Illinois
better than you
good.
thought. Illinois is good. Maryland is very strong. Penn State's playing pretty well. Indiana laid an egg at Rutgers big time. Rutgers isn't that bad. Indiana's going to be good. I don't know where Michigan State's going to get enough wins to make the tournament. I really don't. And I wouldn't have said that 2 weeks ago. That's the funny thing is, and 2 weeks ago I would have said I would be happy to be 5-4 right now, because I would have expected that we beat teams like Northwestern and Notre Dame, but lost to Kentucky and Villanova, right? So we've beaten a couple good teams, but we've lost to teams that we absolutely have no business losing to, and it's hard to take. Really hard to take. The Big Ten is just it's crazy. College basketball is crazy. Houston's your number one team. North Carolina, I think, has lost 4 in a row. They were preseason number one. Duke is not gelling all that well together. Kentucky barely beat Michigan in London, and they're not playing particularly great. Gonzaga is only 5-3. It is crazy. I love it. I'm here for it because this is going to make March that much better. But if it's a March without Michigan State, even if it's not a Michigan State team that can go deep, it's going to be extremely depressing, especially following on the heels of the garbage football season that we just had. What else is there to root for? I guess I'm going to have to put an indoor golf studio in and just focus on that all winter or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's rough, but yeah, hoops is crazy right now, man. I mean, our Big Ten starting five. Zach Edey yesterday had 31 and 22. 31 points, 22 rebounds. I have him.
Damn it all, because you took the first pick.
Yeah, and I'm only down by 23 total points, and you played double the games I have.
Yeah, Edey is a monster. There's a good example
He's
of a guy that's
he's a
gotten
national player of the
steadily
year
better.
right
And
now.
the reason Purdue is so damn good, and we said this I think a week or two ago, is because he is your center piece, but the rest of the guys around him ebb and flow.
Role.
The Smith, their really good freshman that was Mr. Basketball the other day, had 0 points. It didn't matter. They still won big. Lawyer can play good. They've got a bunch of complementary pieces that you don't rely on just stand around and watch Jaden Ivey score. And if he doesn't score, oh shoot! If we don't get the rebound, we're screwed. Purdue is a really, really good basketball team right now.
They sure are.
UVA is also a really good basketball team. They're playing really well too.
They play some good D. So is Houston. They're very good. It's good. Texas is really good. It's fun. It's fun to watch. Let's do
Except
scramble.
for when our team is bad.
Yeah, exactly. Let's do scramble. Spot 5. What do you got? NFL Lions.
How about the Vikings? 9 wins out of their 10 by 8 points or less.
Playing with fire. Lions are
They did it again
favored
yesterday.
over the Vikings.
Well, they should have beaten them earlier in the season.
They beat them. The Lions are in the thick of it.
I will say
That was the
I
most
didn't realize it
impressive
until they
game
said
they
it the other
played.
day. Hutchinson was the defensive player of the month. I don't know if it was rookie or
Rookie of the
overall.
month.
The other month. I mean, he's quietly put together a nice season, so I can give kudos there. I still think that he's not as good as I would want a number 2 pass rusher, but he's a good addition to the team. I don't know that he was worth a number 2 pick, but I guess it is what it is. So hats off there. The Lions are they're pulling together nicely. Guys are playing well together. Goff's got a full complement of skilled players. The offensive line is good. The running game is good. They get the right pieces and parts, and they could finish the season strong, but also they get the right pieces and parts, and maybe they'll be a little bit quicker to it than we think. Although, let me just say, the Lions have lulled us into false senses of security like this before, so don't get your panties too much in a wad yet. Vikings, they just keep winning. I mean, they're pretty close to. I think the Lions are in second place at 5-7, right? So they already have a 5-game lead on the Lions. So they have it. There's 5 games left, so they pretty much have it sealed. From that perspective, the Eagles continue to look really good.
Cowboys 59
actually
points.
pummeled Indy. You want a spot for Michigan State fans? You want to say, get out of here, Jimmy.
He said he's not taking it, but he said that last year as
Right.
well.
I could see him going there. 'Cause
I could
remember
too.
He played there.
He played there.
Especially if some stuff kind of comes out and somebody actually takes the time to call him on his behavior.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, in the AFC East is kind of like the Bengals have won 8 out of their last 10. They started at 0-2.
Yeah,
They're
they're playing
8-4.
really well.
Beat the Chiefs. Chiefs have stumbled a little bit.
Bills are still really good.
Bills are still really good. So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, the NFL is
getting down to the
wonderful.
stretch.
I love it this year. It's been fun.
A little more parity than we're used
Yeah,
to. And the
it
AFC and the NFC Easts are the best.
Crazy.
They have like a lock on 3 or so playoff teams each, which is nuts. Quarterback injuries yesterday. Good old boy for Baltimore probably wishing he would have taken the contract extension because he hurt his knee, although probably not season ending. You had I'm not 100% sold on him. Garoppolo, who's the second quarterback to go down for the season in San Fran. Deshaun Watson came back, played on a massage table. It looked like the whole time. Yeah, kind of crazy. And then you got a guy like Jared Goff who people kind of keep wanting to write off, but he's quietly settling in and having a decent
best game
season.
in the Lions uniform.
Yeah,
I think it was
having a good
yesterday.
season.
Just all around great game by the Lions. Defense was great. Goff was great. Swift probably had his best game of the season.
Yeah, Ryan, you were there, so you got to see it firsthand.
Amon-Ra is he's Mr.
He's a
Reliable.
stud.
He's so good. Chark played his best game. That's all coming together. J-Mo was out there. That's
Special
big
teams
time.
playing well.
Yeah, just a really great performance by the Lions. That was fun. We'll do butt burners. Greg Norman, screw this guy. The Tiger and Rory calling
Shots fired this
going back and
Sergio
forth.
backing him up. Sergio, just shut up. You
He haven't won anything. Stumbled
squirrely
into a
little
Masters.
Spaniard.
He's annoying. I've never liked him. Baker Mayfield, ouch. Cut by the Panthers. I wouldn't be surprised if the 49ers pick him up, honestly. That'd be interesting. Trey Young, apparently he's been tweeting at his coach, Nate McMillan. There's some beef going on there with the Hawks. I didn't read much into it, but I saw there's been a lot of beef going on, and shocking. Basketball and beef. It goes together.
Especially in the NBA.
Stock up. Justin Verlander, late 30s, 2-year contract, $86 million with the Mets. He's back with Scherzer. They're in the same lineup. That's awesome. Good for JV. He's a stud. Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, comes in for the Niners, leads into a win over the Dolphins, who've been playing really well. Has to be the starter moving forward because Lance out for the season. Jimmy G broke his foot, has surgery, he's out for the season. They signed Josh Johnson, the journeyman that's been in like 36 teams in his career. Played for every team twice, it feels like. Wouldn't be surprised, like I said, if they go get Baker or something to get on their practice squad just in case. Something like that. Sock up. Colorado football. Bringing in Prime. To be
His
their head
nameplate
coach.
said Coach Prime at his press
I mean,
conference.
this guy is...
That guy can talk to the media.
I mean,
we got to meet him at
that man-
Kurt Warner's event. He's a funny dude.
That
He's a
man
good
is
dude.
he's a people's person. He's a... Oh my goodness.
He's a PR machine.
He's a machine when it comes to... He knows he's just a charismatic man. Reminds me of a young Ronald Reagan. But he's seriously, that's a hell of a hire. I mean, these people want to transfer there. There's people tweeting, I want to go to Colorado. I want to go to Colorado. And he basically told their team, Colorado, he's like, you guys can leave because you guys suck, basically. Because they went.
Yeah, you'll see who wants to stick and fight and play, and
Yeah.
otherwise
Yeah,
they'll build
and
from scratch.
That is pretty awesome for them. I mean, coaching carousel is crazy. Satterfield goes from Louisville to Cincy this morning. I think
Right
I
up the
heard
street,
that.
and they're playing each other in the
Reported on
Fenway
that.
Bowl.
Yeah, that's just weird. I don't understand.
And
that.
on the same sideline, the way the Fenway is going to be set up is they're playing in. Both teams will be on one sideline.
for God's
Somebody
sakes.
suggested he should just stand in the middle and coach both teams.
So, I said earlier, North Texas fired their coach.
Jim Leonard stayed at
Leonard stayed at
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. What else happened?
Michigan State has not fired any
No,
coaches,
they won't.
and they should.
They won't. Who else? What else happened? Hugh Freeze to Auburn. What else? Kevin Wilson, the abuser from Indiana, who's at Ohio State. He just got Tulsa's job. Good, I guess. Good for them. Chadwell said that before he was going to Liberty, and they hired Tim.
There will be
Beck.
more coaching changes coming too.
Yeah. I mean, would not be surprised if Braum goes to Louisville. Honestly, I feel like can't really do much more with Purdue, and with USC and UCLA coming, I don't.
Fun
know if
fact:
that's
he was the quarterback for Louisville when Michigan State played them in the 1993 Independence. I think it was the Independence Bowl. Might have been the Liberty Bowl. It was the Liberty Bowl. 1993, Michigan State played Louisville, and he was the winning quarterback for Louisville against us.
Golf, Victor Hovland repeats the Hero World Challenge. I think he beat out Scheffler.
Here's one that we could have done in the tee-up on. LeBron James, shocker, comes out of nowhere and talking uneducatedly about some Jerry Jones picture from when Jerry Jones was 14 at some desegregation thing, and then the absolute train wreck of a shit rag show that shouldn't even be on TV but still is, and somehow finds its way into my earwaves. The View had some lady go on a whole diatribe about how he's once a racist, always a racist, and holding all these stats about lack of minority coaches and lack of minority quarterbacks and whatever. Honey, the quarterback for the Cowboys for Jerry Jones is African American, you stupid, you know what. Like, people like that, like LeBron James, just shut up. Go away. Get out of my country. Go away. Just go. Go move to Qatar. Go get in prison with Brittany Griner. You piss me off. You un-American bastards. You ungrateful. You're made what you are because you're an American, and all you do is tread on our flag. Screw you.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Ridiculous. Let's go sprint, unless you got anything else you want to say.
Let's go sprint.
We got the Heisman finalists, did not mention this. Caleb Williams, C.J. Stroud, Stetson Bennett, and
Max Duggan.
4 quarterbacks. You could debate that Bijan Robinson deserved to be there. Michigan fans will say Corum and McCarthy and Mozzie Smith and Jake Moody deserved to be
and
there.
Donovan Edwards, the anti-Semite.
Right. And their punter, whatever, holder, long snapper, whatever. You could say that Hendon Hooker, I think that he was snubbed. He should have been there. He had a great season. He meant a lot to his team. But those are the 4 finalists.
Kenneth Walker should have been there last year.
Yep, exactly. So who of those 4, who do you think's going to win it?
Williams.
Yeah, I say Williams, too. I think it'll go Williams.
I mean, if he doesn't get hurt against Utah, I don't think USC.
I think it'll go Williams, Stroud, Duggan, Bennett. I think that's how the finish will
I think Bennett more than Duggan, because Bennett, surprisingly, I mean,
he's had a really good year.
He's had a really, really good year.
Yeah, he has. Awesome. So who wins the match this weekend? They're playing down by actually where we used to go on spring break, Indian Rocks area at Bel Air Club, I believe. It's Tiger and Rory versus JT and Spiethy.
Tiger's broken, so I'm going to go JT Spieth.
I feel like Tiger and Rory are going to feed off each other. And Tiger said he can hit every shot. He just he can't walk, and he's going to be in a car.
Oh, that's true. I'll go with the upset.
I'm going Tiger and Rory. Most intriguing New Year's 6 matchup in your head so far out of them that's not a CFP.
Oh man, I gotta look to see.
I'll
what
tell you
they
mine.
are.
Clemson, Tennessee, the Battle of the Oranges.
The battle of the I saw it like the battle of the teams that lost to South Carolina.
Exactly.
Let's see. I mean, I think Penn State, Utah in the Rose Bowl is another really good potential game. I would say for me it's a cross between Tennessee, Clemson, and Penn State, Utah.
Okay, I think that's a good one as well. Kind of a fun one. What's your favorite spot to shoot from on the basketball court? What's your hot spot?
Oh, my hot spot on the basketball court. Man, it's been a long time. I kind of always liked the elbow extended, either side, left or right.
I'd say right elbow is my favorite.
Kind of that, even though I'm only 6'2", played more like the 5 in high school, and kind of that zone buster spot, like good enough to shoot kind of from free throw line extended.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
I didn't have a green light for 3-pointers when I was in high school, so I don't have that range anymore.
Yeah, right. Never did. That's it. Appreciate you guys listening. Let us know if you want us to discuss anything here coming up. Appreciate you guys listening. Shout out to Team Andrews Realty. You guys are the best. Appreciate your support here the last couple of years. Appreciate you guys listening.
Meantime, as Ellen Griswold once said, maybe about Michigan State hoops unknowingly, well, I don't know what to say except it's Christmas and we're all in misery.